Hello and welcome to Master of Orion 2 Battle at Antares, where I'll be doing a full commentary playthrough of the game on impossible difficulty, and I'll be explaining things as I go, hopefully in the right amount of detail for you. But this game is actually pretty complex, so it's probably not possible to have a level of commentary that is suitable for everyone, because everyone will have a different level of understanding of this game. So I'll just start talking about what I'm doing and basically target or assume you have a basic understanding of the game and of this kind of genre. I won't go into too much detail. There's a lot to talk about in this game and all the various mechanics. Like I said, it's very complex. To start by talking about the version. So as you can see down here, I'm running version 1.5. So this is actually a community patch. I think the latest official version was 1.31 or something. So this is a community patch, which adds a lot of quality of life enhancements to the game. Most of which, not every single one, but almost every single one, I think are really, really good additions to the game, or really good modifications to the game. So I'll put a link in the description to that download page, so you can go ahead and download that, install this. I'm otherwise running it, I think I downloaded it through Steam, bought it and downloaded it on Steam, and it actually it's running in DOSBox right now. But with this mod, I think they add a little launcher in, and there's some customization. You can choose, for example, here you can see the plus picks. That picks means that they've adjusted the point cost for some of the abilities in the racial customization menu, which you'll see. And I'll point out a few of them. I won't point out every single one because there's a lot. But for example, I think telepathic was originally 6 picks, but in this mod it's 7 because telepathic is extremely powerful. Probably should be 10, but that's my opinion. So I'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so difficulty impossible, of course. Why not? I can't remember when this was added. I think there's a version of the game, like official, where they've added this one, cluster. Cluster is essentially large, but it has more stars. So I actually like cluster because I like to play aggressively. On the one hand, it might be a little bit kind of metagaming it to pick a match size which caters to your playstyle, but it's single player, so whatever's the most fun, I guess. Another way you could play is what I did many years ago was design a race and then play that same race on every single galaxy size, just to sort of prove, I guess, that it was effective on all of them. Don't really have time to do that these days. That was many years ago. So just pick the one that suits you, I guess. Galaxy age. This is about level of minerals and climates. So I'm just going to give it average. We've also got organic rich, mineral rich. Pretty self-explanatory, that one. I'm going to go with 8 players. Tech level is an interesting one. I think this patch adds 1, which is post-warp. Not really sure what that does. Average start, plus all technologies up to 250 research points. Okay, so I think this one's just to kick the game off a little bit faster. Advanced is kind of like a jump right into the action side of the game. I think if you're into this kind of game, then you're probably not going to be interested in that. Like, you might as well play StarCraft or something. Whereas pre-warp just slows it down a bit more. So I'm going to go with average, which is just the standard. I've always played average. Tactical combat, of course. Random events. These tend to, I think, go against the player who's winning the most, especially you, and especially if you're playing on impossible. So the moment you get an advantage, bad things start happening to you, almost like a kind of artificial way of slowing you down a little bit. So I guess it swings both ways. Sometimes if you're really far behind, then good things will happen. And there's also a racial ability called Lucky, which will increase the probability of good things happening. And then Taran's attack, well, and Tarans can be really, really annoying, but I think it makes the game a little bit more interesting, so I play with it on. And I'm usually the one getting attacked by them, so yeah, it kind of gives me a little bit of incentive to play defensively, at least to some extent. So I'm going to play that on. Okay, now all the default races, I don't know what the community has to say about this and what the meta is, if there is a meta for this game, but I imagine that basically anyone who's like really played this game a lot for like 20 years probably would say, I'm guessing, that none of these are really worth picking. You might as well design your own. It's also more fun to design your own. And then when you choose your picture, quote-unquote picture, this actually, it seems like a trivial thing, but it actually does matter, because whoever you pick, it means that that race is out of the game, and like the computer won't random them. So for example, if you don't want to play against telepathic, then you can pick Illyrians. That's I think what I'm going to do. And if you don't want to play against creative, then you can pick Silence. Some other ones that you might not want to play against are probably Darlocks, they can be a bit annoying. Alkari, Bulrathi, Meklars. Meklars because of cybernetic, Bulrathi because of ground combat. I think Alkari because on Impossible they usually take cybernetic as well. So anyway, I'm going to pick up their ends. So I'm going to cheese this a little bit just to keep it simple. And by cheese, I mean choose a race that just basically overpowered. So I'm going to go with telepathic. Telepathic is, like it even says there, cost 6, but then you can see here it's 7, so they didn't update this description. So yeah, it used to cost 6, but in this patch they increased it to 7. Now, in my opinion, it's probably worth 10 picks, because this is, I think, hands down the most powerful ability in the game. So you can read some of the stuff there. So you get a diplomacy bonus, you gain a spying bonus, which is offense and defense. That's big. Your cruisers and above, so cruisers, battleships, Titans, and Doomstars, can actually instantly take over a planet once all the defenses are defeated, and it instantly assimilates the entire population. Yeah, there it is there. Instantly assimilating all population. Now that is just insanely powerful. So it means you don't have to build transports. So that saves you a lot of production, saves you a lot of command points, which can be put into other ships. It's also a lot less hassle, like taking the planets. When you take a planet and they have to assimilate, then there's a chance they rebel. They also have reduced output. So instantly taking the planet with just a cruiser or above and assimilating the population is, even if that's all telepathic did, then it would still be very good. But it does these other things too. And actually, yeah, it does mention it there. They can immediately use captured ships in combat. This is quite good against starbases. If you attack a planet which has a missile base on it, and there's also a starbase there, you can capture the starbase and then use the starbase to shoot the planet to destroy the missile base. And generally the missile base will actually target the starbase, so it'll absorb the missiles. So that's also very good. The downside of that is that if you do capture a ship, then the AI will actually behave as though that ship is a threat, and they'll blow it up, or try to blow it up straight away. So that's actually one downside to that. Whereas if you're not playing telepathic and you capture a ship, they'll basically ignore it because it's not a threat, because it can't do anything, it just sits there. So yeah, and then the one thing it mentions, I think, yeah, there's one thing it also does which it doesn't mention, and that is if you're telepathic, then you can't be mind controlled. So if you're up against another race which is telepathic, then they can't mind control, and vice versa. That's why picking Illyrians is a good idea when customizing the race, because if you take telepathic, then you don't have to contend with the Illyrians. Because if you normally if you run into them, you won't be able to mind control their planets. So yeah, it's very, very good. And one of my favorite things about this game, which you gotta love this about old games, is all the stuff in the descriptions which it doesn't tell you, and there's a lot of that in this game. And not only that, sometimes the stuff it does tell you is just straight up not correct, like the game mechanics in the game engine. I can't really think of an example off the top of my head. Maybe Gravitron Beam is a good example, but it doesn't tell you. Well, it tells you that it inflicts additional structural damage, and then the number that pops up in combat, I think, is actually 1.5 times the damage that it does to armor, and then it inflicts half of that to structure or something like that. It's really quite complex. So you get these really basic explanations for complex things, and if I can think of an example, I can't really think of one right now, but there are a few things in the game where it tells you one thing, but the opposite is actually true, which makes it really difficult to learn, of course. Okay, so I like to play aggressively, so I'm going to go with low G World. Now, a key call out, and I think I could probably talk about it, but I could just stay on this screen and talk for a whole hour, but I'll kind of try to wrap this up and move on. A key call out with these when you're designing your race is to understand what applies to your faction versus what applies to your race. So for example, industry +1, this will apply to your race, so your workers will have their +1 production, whereas if I take ship attack +20, that'll apply to all ships that I have. Other things are like unification, because that's a government, that'll apply to all planets regardless of who populates the planet. So something to keep in mind to incorporate into your playstyle. So low G world, -5. I like to take this because I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to capture the enemy planets. So the fact that my race will have a gravity penalty is not going to be very significant, because I'm not going to take that many. I'm not going to colonize that many planets. Furthermore, it's got the ground combat penalty that will apply to the whole faction, so that is bad. But because I'm taking it telepathic, I'm not really going to be using ground troops, so we'll go ground combat -10 as well. -50% population growth is another one where it applies to the race but not the faction. So once again, taking these three is my favorite way to do things, and I think in this mod you can actually take up to -12 picks. So that's -5, this is -5, and that's -2, so that adds up to -12. In the base game you can only take -10, so I'd have to do something like this. But because I'm playing with the mod, I'm going to go ahead and make the most of it. Telepathic, Warlord, and some of these descriptions have been updated, so like a lot of this information wasn't here in the base game. So they have a lot of little improvements like that. I think anyone who downloads this mod you're probably going to be familiar with a lot of the stuff anyway. If you're still playing this game in 2025. But nevertheless, it's nice to have this extra description. Probably, and if you haven't played the game that much and you're trying to get into it, then there you go. Like it's a lot more informative. Let's go unification as well. This used to cost 6, as you can see there. Now it's 8. This unification is very, very good. And Warlord ship attack. Might as well get large home up. Okay, that'll do. Now, that's actually a pretty bad start. I don't like to start in the corner like that when I'm going to be aggressive. It is cluster though, so if I colonize that, then I can reach all these planets. It's a pretty standard start. What I like to do is pretty much just get to work on a cruiser right away. I'm not generating any production, but essentially any production that gets done will go towards this, and then I can just swap it out. And it spills over too. And in this mod, you can see that there's 0 out of 390. That's a new addition in this mod, so it actually gives you the number, which is good. But if I was to do this, which gives me 15 per turn, and I waited a turn, this would be 15. And then if I swapped into, I don't know, freighter fleet, which costs 50, it would show 15 out of 50 for the freighter fleet. So it'll actually just, the production will actually just shift into whatever is the next thing in the queue. So that's actually really key to know, because if you're working towards something, you might think, well, I've already spent all this production on this thing, it'd be a waste to swap into something else. But no, what actually happens is that all that production just goes straight into the other thing. And I'm going to do a standard opening here, just research lab first. From this screen, I think there's a couple of options here. I think auto select ships, I have that on. So if I click on a fleet, it auto selects all of them. So whatever's blue is going to be the thing that gets moved. So right now I have the scout selected. So whatever I click on, that's where it's going to go. So I do this, send that there. I'm going to send the colony ship here as well, because these will probably both be bad, but those are the only 2 stars that I can reach, so see what happens. Okay, so that's actually good, but it's got a bone eel. Eels won't attack you on sight, which is good. So that's nice, and my frigate stays alive. I might as well leave this up. Okay, so ultra poor. That's okay though. The purpose of this second planet isn't to be good, it's just to kind of branch out into the galaxy. So I'm going to go ahead and colonize that. And I'll just put in whatever, doesn't really matter, because I'm going to swap into the research lab. And then I'll start exploring the surrounding stars. Okay, space debris times 2 already, so that's good. Now it says this is starving, -30, and you might think, oh, that's bad, the people are starving. And in real life, obviously that's bad, but in this game, it doesn't actually matter that much, because the minimum population is 1,000. So this guy will keep starving, but he won't actually die, so... yeah, I'm probably not the most benevolent leader, but in this context, that's what's best for the glory of the Empire, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, there we go. That's that planet there is very good. If you can get natives early on, that's really good, because they've got a +2 bonus. They're also not affected by any gravity effects. So if I captured this, right off the bat, I'd have 12 food base, then I'd have a morale penalty, but then I'd have a government bonus, so I think it would be something like 15 food. So continue exploring here. Okay, only 1 more star. And that's it. I'm gonna just leave my scouts out there, just because of scanning. So if we go to tech review, it's here somewhere. Space scanner detects enemy ships. Frigates in hyperspace. Okay, didn't actually know that there was a special exception for frigates in hyperspace, but okay, it's good to know. But as you can see there, this is essentially just saying that your ships will detect other ships. So any enemy ships that come close, I'll be able to see them. Just like in any sort of real-time strategy game, or any strategy game. Okay, we've got research lab now. So this is a very standard build that I do. So I go for the research lab, and then I go for this, and then into automated factories. So the purpose of this is just to get the production going, and to get the research going. Meanwhile, you get reinforced hull, because that's going to make my first cruiser a lot more difficult to kill. So as you can see there, I'm actually at 0 production, so never mind. So we're going to go ahead and build a research lab. I'm going to wait 3 turns, and I'm going to buy this one so they both finish at the same time. See, this is ultra poor, so it's not really generating any production. So I'm just going to put him in research instead. Okay, this is a pretty good leader to get early on. Now, what I recommend doing, depending on the bonuses they give you, this guy is kind of pointless, so don't even bother. You've got 30 turns to hire them, but he costs 1 BC a turn, so you could hire him right away, but then you're paying the extra BC, up to 29 BC. On the flip side, I think, well actually this guy's gained experience, so I was going to say it might be worth hiring him just so he gains experience, but we'll see what happens. Okay, yeah, so his experience hasn't gone up. I'm pretty sure that if I do hire him... Oh, right, okay. Oh, this guy joined me out of being rescued. Okay, I didn't realize that that's what happened, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of him. But that's why he was gaining experience. If I hadn't realized that earlier, I would have dismissed him earlier. So hiring them, they'll gain experience. So that's your trade-off essentially. You can pay 1 BC for him to gain 1 experience per turn, or you can wait until this goes down to turn 1 or whatever, 1 turn remaining, and then hire him. So it's up to you what you want to do. Researching here. Now I have automated factories, and the other 2 planets in my home system are actually quite good, and didn't even realize. Build the automated factory. That one I'm probably going to have to wait until I've got enough gold to buy it. Okay, here we go. So Sakra, we're going to colonize that. This is good, mega wealth, so this gives me extra money per turn, so I'm going to go ahead and hire him immediately. Yeah, so the Sakra will be our first target, so what I'm going to go and do is we look at their abilities. So they're feudal, that's standard, population growth standard, subterranean is standard, I think large homeworld as well. Now, when you're playing on hard or impossible, the computer get extra picks. So instead of the usual 10, they get, there's probably an exact number out there somewhere. I think it's maybe an extra 10. It's high gravity. This is 6. This is 7. This is -3. So I think it's an extra 10. But in any case, they have this extra stuff. Basically, this is really good news for me if I can take them out early. If I can absorb them, then I'll be in a very, very good spot. And here's a tip. I don't think it says it anywhere, but if you press F9, you can click on a star and then click on another star, and it will tell you how far away, how many parsecs it is. So these are all within 4 parsecs of each other, which is really good news for me, because I only have I've only got standard fuel cells, and I don't really want to research deuterium. So a key characteristic of this game, which I didn't really talk about earlier, is that you only get to choose one technology within each field, which I actually think is one of the better mechanics of this game, because it means you've got to decide. There's a big trade-off. You can't just have everything, unless you pick creative, of course, in which case you do have everything. But I actually think creative is kind of boring. But you know, everyone's got their own stuff. But in my opinion, this mechanic is one of the more interesting mechanics of the game. So I recommend not playing on creative just for that reason. Maybe do it for just once for the fun of it, and you'll see what I mean. And if you do enjoy that, then good for you. But in general, I think this is a more fun way to play. But yeah, I'd rather not research this. That'll give us 6 distance of 6. Whereas titanium armor will double the strength of the ship. So I'd rather have that. I can also use this function here. If you click on races, click on report, you can actually see what technologies they have. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, because I want to see if they get missile base. Because if they do, I'm going to have to take a more long-term approach, let's say. Okay, what manufacturing is done. I'm going to get a cruiser as soon as possible, actually. So to design a ship, obviously, quick design. Don't go with the computer designs, because I think it just generates a bunch of random things. Like this is different every time. So I wouldn't recommend using that. So instead, I'm going to give it this. I'm going to call this Touchy 1. And I do this 1 because it's kind of cool, I think, but makes it easier to keep track of your ship designs. If they all look the same but have different configurations, then that's going to be hard to keep track. So right away I'm going to click clear, and in this particular mod you actually have to re-add the computer, so just be careful. I've actually forgot that a bunch of times. In the base game it defaults to the best computer, but in this mod you've got to add it, so make sure you add that in if you want to have more beam attack pennies. There are some situations where you don't need a computer, and that'll save you on some costs, so maybe it's worth not having it. Don't have many specials to choose from, like this is right at the start of the game, so reinforced hull. And right now I'm just going to go ahead and add heavy laser cannons, just to make it cost a lot. And click build. Now the reason I want it to cost a lot, quote unquote, is because I just want this to be in a production queue on its way to being produced, 14 turns, and then I'm going to line it up with titanium armor. But before it's finished, I'm going to go back in and redesign it the way I want it. And that's worth doing. In this situation, it's probably not worth doing, but normally it's worth doing if you're about to research something, and then you want to switch it up right before the ship is ready. So as long as he doesn't research missile base, I think I'm in a pretty good spot. It's tempting to buy that, but I also want to buy this guy. 8 more turns. So what I'm going to do is shift away. As you can see there, 312 out of 336. So you've got this little rectangular prism thing which goes up to kind of illustrate how much production there is. I'm pretty sure that was there in the base game, but it didn't give you the number. So this is a nice quality of life improvement. And as you can see, my workers and farmers are producing a lot of food and production because of my government bonus, which is unification, also no morale penalty. So it's a very, very good government. Okay, last turn to recruit this guy, so I'm going to go ahead and recruit him. And now that I have this guy, who's famous, he's going to be even cheaper, so it's a good thing I waited. Let's check on the Sakura, see what they're... Okay, they have planetary missile base. I just realized I need to build an outpost ship. I forgot about that. Because I can't actually... Well, these two ships can get there because they have extended fuel tanks, which gives 50%. So these guys can go 6 parsecs. Whereas my normal ships can only go 4. So what we're going to do, build the outpost ship. As you can see there, immediately the 300 production goes into the next thing. So it's 332 out of 150. And you might think, well, isn't that going to waste 170? But no, it actually won't. You'll see. That 170 just spilled over into the next thing in the production queue. So there was nothing wasted. Now we have the outpost ship. I'm just waiting for my research to complete and then I'll... There we go. So what I'm hoping to do is get in there and take these planets before they build a missile base. Which is a bit of a long shot, but I'm going to try it. This thing probably can't actually beat the starbase, but I'm going to try and take all the other planets. Also going to upgrade my, or refit my frigates. Just give them a couple of point defense. So point defense is a little bit complex, as you can see, quite a lot of text there. It gives them an increased chance to hit, but it makes them weaker. But as you can see there, it only takes up half the normal amount of space normally required. Cost half the normal amount. So our normal laser at this stage of the game costs 5 space 10. Heavy mount costs 10 space 20, so it doubles. Point defense halves it, costs 2 space 5. So these guys are essentially going to just be there to support the cruiser blowing up missiles. So the point defense is, the main purpose of point defense is to destroy projectiles. So missiles, fighters, assault shuttles, that sort of thing. And it's good in the early stages of the game because there's an increased chance to hit. And at this stage of the game, there's very little... The beam attack isn't quite as good. So my beam attack is going to be, I've got 20 because of this, because I took the bonus. Warlord gives, so the cruise will start at regular instead of green, so that's another 15. So 20 plus 15, 35. And then plus another 25 from the computer. Yeah, these guys are already veterans, so they've got an extra amount there. So as you can see, veteran 30 beam attack. So another 15 on this thing. But this the cruiser has only got 60. Now I've got an officer, of course. He's going to add 5, so now it's up to another 5 there, which is good. The main benefit of him though is that the navigator, this bonus. I'm not sure what this asterisk means. After all these years, I still don't know what this means. I think maybe that doesn't get better when he levels up and these other things, or vice versa, I'm not sure. But in any case, see how we go. That ship is almost there. And buy this as well. And then they'll once they're all together, we're going to go in. I wanted them to all be together to get the benefit of his navigator ability. So now, 3 parsecs, we can travel at 3 parsecs a turn. So they've got nuclear drive, 2 parsecs a turn, so 3 parsecs will take 2 turns. But with him, only going to take 1 turn. So that extra 1 speed is actually quite good. Got an outpost there. Okay, he's basically the same as the guy I've already got, so I don't know if I'll recruit him. And we're going to attack these planets. Okay, counter the Daleks as well. Okay, awesome. Yeah, no defenses. Now, normally you would need I would need many transports to take this out, but because I'm telepathic, I can prove my superiority over the inferior race by cyclically overwhelming the colony's defenses. Now, normally when you take a planet using ground troops, it gives you some technologies at random. I don't know what the formula is for determining that, but this is what can happen. But you would think, well, with telepathic, you're probably not going to get any free technologies, right? But no, it even does that. So there you go. Now I have deuterium fuel cells. Now I'm encountering all the other races. It's fine. Got these natives. The Sakra are now within my control. I'm going to go ahead and build some defenses. Got a colony ship coming in, so I'll vaporize that immediately. And now I can send in, hopefully their home world doesn't have a missile base, and hopefully I can take it out with my stuff. Probably not though. That's why I'm researching this, because I want to actually build a second cruiser that can take it out. I'm going to leave 1 frigate behind, because this colony ship will come in. And then on the other hand, if I leave it alive, he might take a planet, and then I can take that planet. So I'm actually going to leave him alive. Not something I normally do. Okay, we're going to head to their home world now. Alright, so it's only got a starbase. Yeah, this is going to be a dicey fight, but I'm going to go for it. So they've got a frigate. This isn't just your standard scout, it's actually been modified. So it's got nuclear missiles. It's only got 1, but it's got 5 of it. Meanwhile, the starbase, that's actually... Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to take that out. Because it's got titanium armor. and it's got reinforced hull. So if you didn't have either of those things, it would only have 60 structure and 60 armor, as you can see here. 360 structure, 120 armor. So I probably could have just used the report function to figure this out, but I was a little bit eager. Meanwhile, because he's got one level of refinement in chemistry, I'll explain this in a minute, text screen. But basically, he's got his missiles are upgraded. So these mods here, he wouldn't have these unless he researched into that field. So because he researched better armor, that's upgraded his missiles. He's also got ECM jammer. Don't really care about that though. So this is not actually possible to win, in my opinion. So I'm actually going to just retreat. So there it is there. I could have just looked this up and said, well, he's got these things, I'm probably not going to be able to beat the starbase. But I didn't do that. Now that I've encountered these other guys, I'm going to go ahead and have audiences with them. So Daleks right away, you can see there's only a few options here, and the reason for that is because they're actually repulsive. They're not always repulsive, it's only in this particular game. As you can see there, repulsive. So you can only declare war and make peace. And I guess you can also surrender if you really want. So I can't actually have any treaties with them, so that's it for them. As for this guy, let's see if we can... So what I'm going to do is propose a trade treaty, a research treaty. I don't really know how this works, to be honest. All I know is that initially you lose money, and then eventually you both gain money. So I'm going to go ahead and propose this. Okay, no. And then with the research treaty, initially you lose money, but eventually you gain research points. So he said no to both, so it doesn't matter. Okay, Trilarians, these guys are more peaceful, typically. And as you can see, they accepted the treaties and I'm losing money. Whereas Clacons can be a bit mean, and they don't want to have treaties with you. So even though it says neutral for both, so it's kind of funny how that works. I just ignore this thing. I don't think it really means anything. But yeah, they didn't accept my treaties, whereas these guys did. Now the purpose of the treaty is to, it actually slightly deters them declaring war on you, I think. Like they might just declare war anyway. But you also gain the money and the research, so definitely worth doing. Okay, I'll explain the refinement mechanic in a minute once I research this stuff, because it's going to apply to my ships. I'm just going to get one more technology, and then you'll see it in action. So right away though, I'll just show you. I don't know if you remember, but before, a laser cannon, before it was 5 cost and 10 space. And then we put heavy mount, and it became 10 cost and 20 space. But as you can see, that's decreased by 20%. You see that? I guess I'm explaining it now, so I'll just continue explaining it. Now, the way it works is that in a particular area, every technology has a I don't know what you call these things, I guess category. Yeah, let's call them categories. So physics is a category. Every technology belongs to a category. And as you research further into that category, so for physics, Laser belongs here, by the way, but because we started with it, we couldn't actually see it. But laser belongs here, which means as we research further and further into physics, we actually gain what's called levels of refinement in the earlier technologies that have already been researched. So if I look up, say, neutron blaster. Oh no, it doesn't actually say that, okay. I'll have to go into the ship design screen. If I look at continuous, for example, requires one level of refinement to be used. And before, we only could see these two, remember? Heavy mount and point defense. But now, we can have access to these, continuous and no range dissipation. Because each of these require one level of refinement. So laser basically starts at 0, and then because I researched fusion beam, we now have one level of refinement in physics. That opens up these, but what it also does, which this game doesn't tell you, is that the cost and space also get reduced. That's a big deal, because same ship. This was the same ship I designed before, right? But I ran out of space. But now I have space available, so I can actually add more weapons. So it's a very, very, very interesting mechanic, quite deep. But it's to reflect this idea that the further your race invests in a particular area of research or category of research, that your race has gotten better at those kinds of technologies. And this has a lot of very profound gameplay effects, because it affects like what's the optimal way to design your ships. So it makes things very, very interesting. And I've never played any other game that has this level of depth to its weapons systems. So I've got to say, they really put a lot of thought into this. And here's the thing, and that's precisely the reason why I'm researching these. I'm not researching these to gain these technologies as such, although I'll also gain them. Battle scanner is pretty good. Fusion beam, I don't know if I'll ever actually use it, but I got it. But the main reason I researched it is to make my lasers better. So even though I already have laser cannon, I'm researching in physics just to make the lasers better. So as you can see, no range dissipation. I'm going to be using that. It's actually very, very good. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. So if you want to have a read of the description there. And then the other one I'm going to be using is auto fire. Auto fire requires 2 levels of refinement. If I right click on laser, you'll see modifications, got all the stuff, and then auto fire. Auto fire requires 2 levels of refinement. So I'm going to be using that in combination with no range dissipation and heavy mount to kind of snipe the starbase from afar. The starbase has, I think, 0 or close to 0 beam defense because it's stationary. It's immobile. This thing gives me means the laser won't dissipate over distance. Heavy mount gives you a better chance to hit over longer distances. Heavy mount is actually quite complex as well. I'll come back to explaining that in a bit. But these 3 in combination are very, very good at picking off starbases. So that's going to be my play here. Meanwhile, I'm going to see if I can pop some of these other planets. Okay, I took out my outpost, but that's okay. I've already got this planet. I'm a little bit worried about it actually, so I'm going to maybe design a destroyer. Just a couple of lasers there. that's also got a starbase already. So even though I was worried about missile base, they don't actually have it, but their starbase is very heavily armored, so that's enough to deter me. Looks like they've only got a couple of frigates. I think they've been putting all their production into colony ships, so they don't have a big fleet, which is good. Good for me anyway. Finally got a freighter fleet, so now this place will stop starving. Next cruiser, 13 turns away, but I'm going to take guys off production, put them on research so that this lines up with the construction of the cruiser. Okay, another mega wealth guy. That's very good. And this one looks like it's just being bombarded by the Daleks. So if they try to attack it, I will. Okay, that's good. Killing off some of the colonists, no big deal, because they just kind of grow back. But destroying the buildings, I wouldn't want that to happen. Because if they've built a building and I don't have the research for that building, I won't be able to rebuild it. So I want the buildings to stay alive, that the people can die though, that's okay. Very tempting to get this guy, but I'm actually going to wait. I'm going to put my money into the cruiser first, because I want to attack as soon as possible. Okay, now I have enough money to buy this, so I'm going to swap into research. 5 turns left. So I'll just get the battle pods. Okay, now to redesign this thing. I'm gonna call it the Tachi 2. And I'm gonna make it look different. It's just my thing that I like to do. Battle scanner. Now, because we have a second level of refinement, we now have access to auto fire. This is very, very, very good. So auto fire allows the weapon to fire 3 separate times in rapid succession, each with a minus 20% chance to hit. I think, yeah, it's just minus 20 for each one. I don't think it means minus 20 for the first and minus 40 for the second or anything like that. Makes it cost more, but as you can see, cost and size 50%. So it fires 3 times, but only costs 50% more. So it's a very good ratio there. And of course, no range dissipation. So heavy laser with auto fire and no range dissipation. It's costing 9 production and then 23 spades. Now I also need some other weapons to destroy the missiles. But this guy is going to be my main heavy hitter, and then all my other ships are going to be basically protecting this guy. I would like both cruisers to have those, or to have that configuration, but this will have to do. I think, let's take another look at his tech. Reinforced armor again. So that means the starbase is going to have 120 armor, but 360 structure. Once I'm through the armor, the internal systems might start taking damage, and hopefully I'll pop some of the missiles. Maybe his other stuff as well, like his computer. And okay, looks like he doesn't have battle scanner, so that's good. Maybe I don't need battle scanner. Let me just check this again. So this is going to have 65. Yeah, Yeah, I think I will need battle scanner, so I'm gonna keep that. So this guy will have very high beam attack. Yeah, I'm gonna take another one. Might as well work towards that, just in case this doesn't work. There's a black hole there. Some black holes. No ship may pass within 2 parsecs. So that's kind of annoying. So this guy is going to take quite a while to get there. I probably should have sent Aquarius back there to pick him up, and then we can go straight for Slar. I could also refit the first cruiser. So, alright, let's do this. We're just going to blockade this in the meantime. Still only got a starbase. Still no missile base, that's good. So I do have a chance. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna have a... Now, this ship is the main ship. Got some leaders here as well. So 85 beam defense, but I have 115 beam attack. I do have auto fire though, so this is more like 95 beam attack. So I'm actually going to try and take these guys out. Okay, so far it's okay. I actually have mass drivers, so he also has no range dissipation. Mass drivers are special because they're not reduced by range like other beam weapons. All beam weapons in this game, their damage is reduced by range, except for mass driver and Gorse cannon, and disruptor. So there's 3 beam weapons where, I guess I shouldn't say all. There's 3 beam weapons which aren't reduced by range, but all other beam weapons, which is the majority, are reduced by range. So what I'm actually going to do is just try to take these out. I'm not going to die anytime soon, but there are a lot of missiles headed at me. Now I do have this point defense laser. Can't move forward anymore because of missile alert, but if I click this, I can then move, and then these point defense lasers will automatically fire at these missiles. So there's 4. And the number that pops up is how many get destroyed. Okay, so no number popped up except for the damage done to me, which means the point defense lasers didn't destroy any, which is actually pretty disappointing. Got another 4 coming. As you can see, I'm not having a lot of luck destroying these missiles, so I think I'll just stay for one more. Now this guy's got more beam attack and he's got auto fire, so his lasers are a little bit better. I'm actually going to retreat with him. I'm going to sacrifice a frigate. Sometimes I don't know what the calculations are, but sometimes that destroys the missiles. Almost. I'm actually going to just retreat now. I think it's too risky. Okay, I got one of the leaders. I was basically going to try and take out the 2 leaders and then retreat. Yeah, that didn't go too well. Just gonna put a ship there for defense. And then what I'm gonna do is refit these with battle pods to give them a lot more weapons. It does cost a lot of production though to refit a ship with weapons, with battle pods, sorry. So that first one's only going to take a turn, but then the second one's going to take a lot longer than that. Now I'll have another run at the Sakura. So I'm actually going to stop it right there. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. I hope it's not too much information. If you do have specific questions, happy to answer them, because I didn't flesh out anything and everything. But let me know what you think. If it's too much commentary or not enough, I'm happy to adjust according to what you think is more interesting or makes it more enjoyable. But for now, take care. See you in the next one.